Alrighty. Hey there, this is your friendly neighborhood English teacher, Miss Shirley. This is going to be a recording on the sophomore Unit 2 project, the Utopia Project. I'm going to stick strictly with part 1 in this recording. If you're looking for information on part 2, where you're working as a group, please view the video labeled part 2. Alrighty. So the document that I have pulled up and I'm sharing with you here, this is the overview, the instruction page, if you will. So here we're just focusing in on this first part. This is what we had worked on kind of Tuesday, Wednesday in class. There was an extension placed on this portion of the project just to ensure that people have enough time to compile their ideas. So before starting part 1, it will be important to locate your copies of the quick writes. So we have completed 3 quick writes in Unit 2. Our first quick write was over education. The second was healthcare/welfare. And then the last one, the third one, was technology. Your quick writes were designed with this project in mind. So if you are missing one of those 3, you'll maybe want to go back and brush up and, you can get that assignment done, and then it will also help you with this project. You don't necessarily need to read all of the articles that go along with these topics, but you'll want to choose one that maybe sounds the best or you think would serve a utopian society the best. So in this first part, that's essentially what you're working on. You're compiling those ideas from the quick writes and putting them into one place. Part 1 builds off of that work, and you want a solid foundation. You want to do really well with part 1 because in part 2, that's where you're working with a group and you're sharing your ideas that you came up with here. So I'm just going to click into the document and let's look at it together. So categories and their summaries. Here is where you're going to start listing out those ideas that you had from the quick writes. So, for instance, maybe in technology, you read the article that talked about how an AI system through Meta, the parent company of Facebook, how the AI technology was able to be sneaky and hide information from humans and master a really tricky game. And so maybe you read that and you're like, oh my gosh, like AI, if it's left unchecked and we don't keep an eye on it, it might become too powerful and too much for humans to really control. And so maybe you want to be careful. And in your utopia, maybe you're going to limit the power and strength of what AI can do and how it contributes to society. Maybe you're not going to have it at all. Maybe you're not worried about that and you think AI could have great usage and it can, take on more maybe difficult tasks and humans can, do other things with their time. I'm not sure, right? So looking back at that quick write, I'm able to kind of decide, okay, this is what technology is going to have. This is the role technology will have in my society. Also keep in mind, technology, that doesn't just have to be an electronic device. It's anything that humans have created to make life easier or to simplify a task. So a wheel, right? A simple wheel, putting it on a wheelbarrow, having it on a car or a train, putting it on a shopping cart. A wheel would be considered technology. Pencils, pens, calculators, anything like that. That's a technology. An umbrella, that would be technology, right? So maybe you're going to limit phone usage in your society. Maybe you really think that people need to interact and have social interaction and spend time outside. Healthcare, welfare, this has to do with people's ability to get medical treatment. Healthcare would be your dentist, your doctors, your eye doctors, people that put braces on, right? Podiatrists, people that look at feet, cancer, right? All these are things that people in your utopian society will need probably access to because people get sick and they need medication. Welfare, that has to do with helping people that are maybe low income or in poverty. So, welfare benefits would maybe help cover the cost of food or make it cheaper for people. It could also help with medication, housing, being able to afford bills, clothing, that sort of thing. Education. Unfortunately, all utopian societies for this project will need to include education. So, what does that look like? Is there a style of education that your students in your utopia will be learning from? Moving on to this next table. Here's the pros, cons, and considerations list, right? So, this is your opportunity to really show and explain why your ideas would create a better society. So, make sure that, once again, you're being specific and detailed here with why, going back to this prior example, if you are removing AI from your society, right? Maybe a pro to this would be it's not robbing humans of a task, right? A con maybe would be maybe your utopian society doesn't develop as quickly because you don't have AI to assist you, right? Maybe considerations could be maybe not removing it entirely, maybe using it, I don't know, to help in identifying illness or to do your accounting. Um, I don't know. It's kind of your idea. The last section here is the Bill of Rights. So, your Bill of Rights essentially is just going to outline how your society will be ran. So, these are rules or laws or statutes that people are going to live by. The example that is given to you here, oh, Lord have mercy, let me undo that. The example, before I so rudely collapsed that table, is murder. We're not going to allow murder in this society. Okay, so we're going to value human life, the autonomy of human life, that everybody has a life to live, and we're going to allow them to do that. Because, this is important to the utopia because we don't want people dying all the time. We want to keep them around and let them live a good life. That would also create a utopia by allowing them this. What potential problems or backlash might come about of having this rule or law? Well, you have ethical issues. Who's to say that I can't murder someone, right? You might have people, it'd be crazy, but they might argue that. You also have women's rights to consider, okay? Pro-life, pro-choice, that's kind of what it means there. You're not really needing to take a political stance, right? We don't care about Republican, Democrat, Independent. That's not the point here. But just kind of thinking, what argument would go against the rule, law, or statute you've created? I mentioned this in the part 2 video, but you can have some fun, right? You can make kind of some silly laws that maybe don't make a whole lot of sense, but make sure that they somewhat align with where you're going with your utopia. I would say maybe 2 laws could kind of be silly, goofy, but then the remaining amount, of the 5 here, depending on what you've been told, you may be making 3 laws or 5 laws. But the majority of your laws should be based off of quick rights, right? It has something to do with how these systems are going to be ran. So an example might be people in the utopia, they will be able to access their technological devices until 8 p.m. Once 8 p.m. hits, the devices are going to be locked away or put on a charger and left there until 8 a.m. the next morning or something. Maybe you're going to hold a vote in your utopia, and it is to vote on the prices for medication for the month. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could approach this. So that is a summary of part 1, right? So you're just going back to those quick rights. What do you think a utopia would look like based on what we've talked about, what we've read in Anthem, these quick writes, that sort of thing. So this first part, this is independent. These are your ideas, right? Okay. Further questions, further concerns, look back at the documents, the materials that you have. That will be helpful. Reach out to a peer, adults in the classroom. I will be back tomorrow, right? So feel free to email, but I will be returning. All right. Thank you. Bye.